Excellent, and welcome to the TED Summit Truth in AI. I am really excited to introduce Vinnie and Ken from Strolid. We always have that jovial character, Johnny, on as well. Johnny, how are you?
I'm a character now, huh? Okay.
But really, Vinnie, Ken, please introduce yourselves and introduce what Strolid's all about.
Sure. Yeah, thanks for having us today. Really appreciate it. Yeah, Ken and I are here to just explain Strolid and talk about a little bit of our company, but also how we have evolved with the vCon and conserver technology.
Yeah.
And I spent 30 years in automotive retail. Out of college, my dad was in the car business, and he reluctantly he was totally dead set against me getting into the car business, but I didn't listen to him as a young guy. Anyway, I saw a big opportunity in automotive early on in the mid 90s with CRM starting to emerge, late 90s, and then obviously the emergence of the internet.
Yeah.
And basically any business that's worth anything. All the marketing guys are going to say it starts with marketing, but being a sales guy, it frankly starts with a lead.
Yeah.
And every business, a crucial component into any business is sales and marketing, right?
Yeah.
So I climbed onto that and saw a big opportunity with the internet. Started seeing all these leads funneling through for these dealers. Dealers had no way of managing all of it, so I built a BDC for a group in Boston, and then we got bought out by a big group, Fortune 500 public group. And because of the success we had at the platform here in Boston, my boss became regional VP and took over the whole East Coast, and we ended up scaling it throughout the whole East Coast. And it was kind of fun in the mid 2000s. I was in charge of e-commerce as well. Just to put a little twist on, explanation on that, it starts with a lead, but I also knew the marketing was important. So having both combined was really, really helpful for me in my career, because I got to see all the marketing trends. I got to see the leads. I got to see the traffic increasing, decreasing, and all that, and learning how to staff for that.
Yeah.
But what makes an automotive BDC different than a call center is that it's a sales. It's a sales team. It's a remote virtual sales team, really, because you need to understand product and how to answer questions and so forth. Now, you're not selling cars necessarily, but sometimes customers want to take it to that level.
Yep.
And so we built a really successful BDC. I was asked to move to Houston in 2012 and didn't want to, so they were moving my whole operation to Houston. I went or not, and decided to start my own business and do it. I had the CEO of the company I was at said to me in about 2011, 2012 that my reporting was the best barometer he had to understand whether or not his dealerships were following process. And the insights into the marketing data and customer insights, which is something, I'm a data guy. I'm a sales/data guy, right?
Yep.
So I like data. I like consistent data. The BDC gave me the ability to capture that in a consistent manner versus handing off leads to salespeople and all that. And I got this, data makes you smarter than you are, if you know how to look at it. Exactly. And so basically, when he said that, I realized how important it was for the guy who ran, $1 billion operation, $1 billion in operation a year business. And then I had another exec there say to me that 85% of the general managers felt like they couldn't live without me. My boss is now CEO of another big dealer group right now, and he was the one who spearheaded all of it and pushed all of this expense through to get this up and running. So, a combination of all that, it just made me realize this is a business.
Yeah.
And when I left Group One, and that's the name of the company I was with, I got a ton of dealers reaching out to me for help. I didn't really know what I was going to do, but it became very clear when a dealer wanted to immediately become my first customer without me even deciding on whether I wanted to start a business or not. We found out really quick we needed technology, so we built a platform that integrates with all the big CRM companies within the automotive vertical, and all the inventory comes there, all the leads come there, and we manage our people, but we also report on results to the dealer and key KPI. And then we realized, we needed to enhance on that. We had a quick discussion recently about chatbots and other things like that. I look at every communication channel as just another telephone. I was the telephone guy when I was back in the 90s because there was no internet. And then it turned into internet leads, which is just another telephone. And then it turned into a chat, right? And instant messenger, whatever way I can talk to a customer, I want to make sure we capture that information and then examine the results from all of those conversations to help the dealer sell more cars.
Yeah.
We expanded out to our customer lifecycle about 5 years ago, where we handle service and outbound campaigns for dealers. So now we have, it starts with the lead, sale, CSI calls we can do, inbound service, follow up on service customers, all the way back to a sale. So if you follow that kind of life cycle.
Oh, life cycle. Interesting.
Yeah. And so when I met Thomas about 5 years ago, our CTO, he helped me bring all tech in-house, and then he sold his company and we lost touch with them, and then COVID hit. And then I reached back out to him and I said, we needed some help. And he said, well, my deal's coming up with the company I'm with. And I said, well, we'd love to hire you. And he said, I'd love to come work with you. He said he likes our tribe, is how he explained it. And our first conversation was, what are we going to do here?
Yeah.
From here.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, to me, it's all about the conversation. There's so much critical information. My dad works for me right now. He's semi-retired, and he's a car guy.
Yeah.
So he listens to calls all day.
Yeah.
I get more information from him than anybody in the company when I want to know what dealerships are struggling or which one of our agents are struggling. He knows. He's the guy that has the answers, and he's always spot on. So we laughed and we said, wouldn't it be nice if we created Papa in a box? Right? We can examine all these calls without having to actually listen to them all, because it's so time consuming.
Yeah.
That's when Thomas went on his crusade to build out we started with a patent that we have now called the Ether phone, but he realized there was no standardized data format to make that work. So that's when he went on with this idea around a VCon, and he had help with that, and it's about to become a standard.
Exactly.
So now we have all of our conversations, emails, texts, everything being transcribed and through DeepGram and fed to ChatGPT, OpenAI, and we can send it anywhere we want at this point. And now we can really start understanding what customers are saying and want, which is really exciting, because really the only thing that matters in any business is the customer, right?
Exactly. And the
employees.
That have been working with you for a decade. So, Alan, if you don't mind me just interjecting on that
go
point.
For it.
So look, I didn't obviously I've been talking to you now for a while. Our first podcast that we've done here with Tat Summit was Strolid, and we met the amazing Thomas Howe. I call him Mayflower because his family came over on the Mayflower. I don't know how, but I mean, so I think, look, understanding.
That's a true story, by the way.
Yeah. But who can fact check it? But anyhow, so if you're coming full circle, so basically, Thomas came into your company after you've been successfully running your business and doing this for years, and Papa in a Box came up as far as understanding how they do that, and you guys have created this VCOM, which seems to be getting a crazy amount of attention, both in the industry with tech analysts and some of the top guys in the industry. I mean, every day I'm popping up, somebody's talking about VCOMs and some very influential people in the industry. So that's how it's just great to know this story, because obviously I'm a huge fan, and you're a big part of TAD Summit and what we stand for, and our main go-to company on what to do as a company. And then you bring in, for my money, the best marketing guy in the industry, who we did a podcast with a while back, a Tad hacker, a winner, Tad Hack member for years, Ken Heron, who I guess we just announced the press release a few minutes ago, Ken. And now you bring in Ken, who spent over a decade, successfully helping, run a company called UIB. So, I mean, it's really just impressive to understand and hear the evolution of what you've built from selling cars to really becoming a tech company with the convergence of VCom's AI and all types of exciting stuff. You've almost created your own box as far as what you are. I think you and I have had a conversation of, well, what are we? What is our business? And you know what? I think the answer is we're Strolid. That's it. We're unique. We do a lot of brick and mortar things. We use technology to enhance it. And what we're doing with AI and VComs is mind-blowingly exciting. So I just want to say congratulations for getting, my favorite guy and my go-to guy whenever I need to understand anything around AI or marketing is Ken Heron. So that being said, Ken, you want to just pop in and say hello?
I appreciate it. Thank you. And really thank you to Vinnie and the team for inviting me to play with them, because this idea of pop in the box, you're a company, you're a government agency who wouldn't want to have those insights to be able to better serve people and to make people happy. So to me, it's such a no-brainer that everyone's going to want this.
Explain those insights, because now you're new with the company. You have a history with us, obviously. We know how you explain things. We understood a little bit now about what Vinny's built, the beautiful story of creating a business, pop in the box, and the tech meets Vinny, and Vinny's also a technologist himself in many ways. And how do you view? Because obviously, you're my go-to guy when I want to understand anything, other than Alan, which he knows a little bit about anything anyhow. Even though I begrudgingly say it, but Alan's brilliant, as everybody knows. So begrudgingly said that, but you feel it. So, and where do you see this VCom? Because for a while I couldn't get my head around it, right? And then it went like bang, light bulb, because I'm a little slow when it comes to things. But now it's like running. I think there was a recent comment, Vinny, that made by some what was his name?
RJ.
RJ, yeah.
Yeah. So RJ Barnum?
Yep.
Burnham.
That's correct.
Burnham. And that comment was what?
He said that AI, the biggest challenge with AI is data management and managing it all in a structured way.
Yeah.
And we have a solution to that.
Yeah.
With VCom.
Exactly.
And this is the gentleman that founded.
I forget actually. I mean, he's been involved with a bunch of different companies. He just worked for a company locally here in Boston called Plum.
But
he came from WebEx, no?
He came from WebEx, from what I understand. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've been getting a lot of attention from a lot of people like RJ. But what I find most fascinating about people that have been very successful like RJ is their excitement around what we're doing, but also their willingness to help us and talk with us, and they're excited. I know Alan's excited about what we're doing. You're excited about what we're doing. That's the fun part, right?
What do you mean? You got people in the industry fighting over who's going to help you, who wants an advisory role, who wants to be part of it. So it's really, you're winning when everybody wants to be part of, which wants to jump on the boat. And getting a guy like Ken Heron on board is a huge it's a big deal. It's a big deal to bring that marketing element that he brings, and really taking Strolid from the tech side of it. And we said this in the first podcast, all these other verticals. So if we come full circle from the first podcast number 1, guys, go back and listen to it with the great Thomas Howe. And when we talked about in that podcast you can do this across other verticals, all the other verticals. And now that's come full circle. You bring in Ken Heron, and then you've got all these other vertical opportunities, and you've got people flocking to you. And I just want to say congratulations. And
thank you. One thing you brought up about employees too. Thomas brought in the OKR method from Intel to our company when we first joined us. And we created three objectives, and one was employee satisfaction. The other one was dealer satisfaction and driving value for our dealers. Driving value for our dealers is something that I completely focus on. So when I say it's humbling to hear from the world around what we can do to help, we're a hardworking kind of blue collar kind of organization. Everyone works hard here, and to build what we've done. And it's sometimes, when I explain this to some of my internal employees, it almost sounds hard to believe where we're at.
Yeah,
I know that, but it's good. It's because we're humble, right?
exactly.
And we do care about our employees, and we do care about our dealers, and we're trying not to take our eye off of that. But when you talk about all these other verticals and stuff, it gets overwhelming.
Yep.
And so when you say trying to make sense of it, yes, we're trying to make sense of it, because you don't want to bite off more than you can chew. But you also want to make sure you seize the opportunity, right? And that's what we're trying to figure out.
And that's one of the reasons where Ken just kind of fits into that vertical. Ken, is that where you see yourself now? I mean, 'cause obviously I knew when you first talking about starting, it was like, it's like going into a playground and not knowing which swing to go on first or what to climb first. So Ken, is that where you see yourself coming in now, kind of drinking from a fire hose, or kind of focused?
I would say there's more than enough water for all of us. I wouldn't say it's drinking from the fire hose, but it's using that high pressure to benefit our customers, because that's who it starts with. I spoke just some of the use cases in terms of every potential industry. I was able to have a call last week with a healthcare provider in the UK. We won't mention any names. They are known for having some service issues. These are well documented. They told me in quite candor, and I've worked with them in my prior role, helping them to solve problems using AI, using chatbots, conversational and generational AI. And they say, Ken, our problem, and again, I'm thinking, okay, there's been, documentary, all of these things, I can name 1,000 problems. They told me their number one problem, we don't know why patients are canceling appointments. And I'm thinking, that's a problem I can solve.
Yeah.
Because all of these millions of conversations on text messages and phone calls and all of these other things, we put those in vCons, we put those into whether it's ChatGPT or some other LLM, and you can ask it, why did patients cancel their appointment? Instantly.
Yeah.
And I can do it by region. I can do it by, specialty. I can do it by type of appointment. To answer that question for this one little healthcare company, game changing. You're talking about impacting millions of lives, billions of dollars. And this is a problem they have been trying to solve for 10 years, 15 years, being generous.
Yeah.
So that ability to listen to the conversation at scale, that is mind-blowing, that this little New Hampshire company that succeeded because they created a set of technologies to solve their customer's problem. Turned out that set of technologies, those capabilities, are not only a global standard, that's a big deal, but can now be used for other companies.
Yeah. And now, real quick,
government
our audience, we had no audience when we first started. Well, maybe we had 400 people listening, 500, whatever it is. Now we've got 20,000 subscribers, and they don't really know what vCon is yet. So we've talked about Vinnie, the company, the beautiful story of how it started. We've talked about you're now joining the club. And Vinnie, or which one of you guys want to take it? Tell our audience, because our audience is different than everybody else's that you've been talking to in podcasts or whatever you've been doing. What is vCon? And why do they care?
Would you like me to address that?
Yeah, sure.
And please go ahead if you'd like to.
Well, vCon is a compliant way to capture, customer conversations. And then the ability. So Thomas was calling it robot food early on, and I didn't know what the heck he was talking about. I just knew we were trying to create Papa in a box, right?
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, ChatGPT appeared, and I'm like, oh my gosh! So we can now feed all this data to a robot.
Yeah.
So anyone that was in the business of building their own robots, there's a lot of siloed companies out there that have their own way of taking natural language and processing it. And all that, but it's available to everybody now.
Yeah.
What's
Exactly.
missing is the data.
Yeah.
And so the data, to me, what's fascinating, Thomas told me a long time ago that data is not valuable. It's hard to replicate data that's valuable. And so, again, I pick out these little things, like whether it be what RJ said or what Thomas said, and I say, that's big, right? What he just said. And not only is it hard to replicate a customer conversation, but it's unique, it's unbiased, it's what they actually said. Whether you want to hear it or not, that's what's going on.
Yeah.
And I always knew those conversations were happening. I just couldn't get that to my dealer and say, hey guys, you guys are messing up. And it's coming from Vinnie. I don't want it to come from me.
Yeah.
Because now it's me being that expert that tells them that they're doing a terrible job and gets confrontational and all that. So
Yeah.
I'd rather have our system say, hey guys, here's what your customer's saying.
Exactly.
And I think what the IETF likes most about it, Ken, you fill in the blanks, whatever I missed, but is the compliance around it. Because the data security is going to become bigger and bigger as time goes on. And the way Thomas designed this gives us the ability to secure customer, redact that information if necessary, and know where that conversation resides, so we can we can make sure that customer, and it's based on a lot of blockchain type stuff, where when we know where all this data is. It's not being tampered with. It's not being stolen. And I know that's your wheelhouse, Johnny. So not only
my wheelhouse is this.
So, what's that?
Let me tell you what my wheelhouse is, and let me tell you what I see, and let me tell you who's going to be buying you soon. This is a little bit of shock to you guys. So if you've seen the recent news about RCS from Google and Apple, they're now going to be integrating, right? So now iMessage and Google Messaging, RCS are coming together. Do you think Google went and paid millions of dollars for the operators for the ability to say, you know what, we want to handle your messaging? Two reasons. Number one, it's all over IP and it sits away from the regulators. They don't want messaging to be regulated. But why is Google taking over the entire world of messaging? Why did the European Union force Apple to open up Apple? It was politically done. Apple never would have opened it up. And then Alan can get more into this as he's more of an expert here on this. But what they're doing is they're owning the conversations. What's more valuable than what people are saying to each other to Google, right? So Google just bought, or took them 20 years, and combined with Apple, and together they're going to know everything every person's saying to every other person worldwide, or at least billions of transactions per minute through messaging. So that kind of rolls back into what you built. And when we first had a podcast, and I haven't been wrong too many times on the show as far as what's going to happen here, which is why I think some people listen, although some people on Wall Street are a little angry with me because I stopped talking about stocks. But what's going to happen here is the valuable information that you've created with the VCOMs, which is really critical to businesses, whether it be auto dealers or other verticals you're looking into right now, that is gold, right? And that is completely gold. You're doing it to help businesses sell, understand their customers. But look what Google just did. Google just took over the world's messaging, and they did it for the data. Google doesn't want to be a messaging company, but they want to know what everybody's saying, what everybody's thinking. God knows how they're going to use it or how they got the okay to pull this off, but they did it. Hundreds of millions of dollars in lobbying, whatever they did, they're Google. So Google will be knocking on your door within 2 years. Write it down. And Alan, you got to let Alan talk, or you're going to fire me from the show again.
No, I've never fired you. But just want to make one. No, I've edited you, and then you say you're going to walk away. So you're the precious one. But just quickly, BDC stands for Business Development Company. We've used that acronym a couple of times.
Business Development Center. Yes.
Center. Sorry. So it's just one of those things. I just want to make sure people understand, because you're building the business for automotive, but hopefully in time other verticals as well. And I think what you've built enables Papa in a box to scale, so you can listen intelligently at scale. It's all that skills and experience that your dad has built up over many, many decades being able to take that, because the problem we have is boomers are retiring. I was talking to a colleague in France, and in France they have a problem of, because you retire in France, you don't carry on working until you're near the grave, and they're anticipating over the next few years 30,000 years of experience disappearing overnight as all the boomers retire. So this is a great example of how you're able to take all that skill set and create something that enables you to listen at scale. And of course, Ken's been part of TADS for years now, and that's been something he's been doing for his customers for years, is listening at scale. So I'm interested, Ken, are there any other interesting use cases you're seeing in the application of this technology?
So many. If I am a city, I've long worked with smaller cities and up to countries. All of them genuinely want their citizens to be happy. And one of my favorite examples is the German recycling. But whatever the process is, if I understand where they're struggling, where they have issues, because the sentiment analysis is also part of this. I know if someone's happy or unhappy. So I can tell, the full 12 degrees of German anger. I can tell when people are, and there are 12. I learned this in school. That I can tell when someone is starting to get unhappy and is just absolute raging. The ability to, because we're creating the ability to trigger. Because think about it, I just don't want to look at a report maybe every morning at 8 a.m. I want to know when there are things are happening. So one of our applications is called Signals. So the ability to let an auto dealer general manager know when a customer is unhappy, the ability for the administration of a small village in Germany to know when a problem is starting. It's much, the recent floods, good example. If I can know when the water's up to my chest and I can extract the people, that's a lot better than waiting until it's at nose level.
Exactly.
So this isn't just about commercial terms. This is about saving lives. And we did a lot of disaster, prep stuff in Singapore and across Asia, because as the weather gets more extreme. If I know when people are in distress, as a municipality, I can help them. When I know when a customer is mad about their new luxury handbag, there's a sales opportunity. So it's the same approach, but it can be applied just as readily to governments and local municipalities as it can be to enterprise for, I want to sell more stuff. Or I want to sell our more profitable stuff. And I do that by understanding the customer's problems better than anyone else can.
So in the auto example, it's like saving a deal where a conversation has just been had.
Literally
where a customer was frustrated.
Understanding trends, understanding issues. Hey, 3 people have returned this, particular model of car. That's the new hot thing we're pushing. Maybe it's a new AV potentially. Customers aren't happy. Was it a training issue? What is the documentation issue? Or is there an actual product issue? I can now understand that with a level of visibility that has just not existed previously.
So you've proved out Papa in a box. You proved out the model. No, look, cars are a utility. Got to have them. Unless you live in the city.
Well, it's the second biggest purchase you'll ever make after your home. So it's a very important purchase.
Is that your wife? Where's your wife?
No, you don't buy your wife, Johnny. Okay. I don't know where you're going with that one. We're not going there. Okay. But I think, what Vinnie said in terms of, taking Papa in a box and enabling that to be applied at scale to all of Strolid's dealers, I think it's powerful. It really is a very powerful summary of what he's built. And again, this just comes back to, because of the foundation of VCon, is it's all done compliantly. So the data is protected for the customer.
You just mentioned 30,000 years of experience disappearing.
Yes.
That's what we have with Papa, right? Is experience.
Exactly.
And it's so critical, like, that we're able to capture what's in his brain and mine too. Don't get me wrong. When he communicates to me, I'm like, he's right on, right? Like, he knows what we need to do. You just said save a deal. That's a term, an automotive term, save a deal meeting,
Oh,
where they
okay.
go through this, they go through the CRM every morning and look
Yep.
at the previous day and try to work deals.
Yep.
We already building in a save a deal for our dealers. I mean, they haven't seen some of this yet, but it's very close to being deployed. So a save a deal will be like, here are all the customers that we engaged with, that we either got appointments with or didn't, and here's what they said.
Yeah.
And so now the management team doesn't have to sort through a CRM to try to find these opportunities, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can tell them which cars are getting the most action.
Yeah.
We can tell them what, you know, in engagement rate. It's interesting because marketing companies call everything an engagement, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as a sales guy, I'm only talking about people I actually spoke with. That's engagement to me.
Yeah.
Not somebody that clicked on my website or clicked on a button or whatever. Who did I actually talk to?
Yeah.
That's your low-hanging fruit, and we can identify that for dealers and say, here you go. Here's a whole bunch of opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And you know, then there's training opportunities, all kinds of opportunities. That's where it gets like polarizing for me, like because Ken's talking about handbags and everything else. Like there's so many applications for this. Yeah. I want to get focused here.
Yeah, exactly.
And make
It's
it work
car
at
sales.
Strolid, and I want to make it work at another vertical, then another. And obviously, to Johnny's point, I'm sure there's going to be a lot more interest with us from other verticals. So we'll take it as it comes.
Exactly.
And
You got a high class problem, Vinny.
Yeah.
You got a high class problem. Don't complain.
No, I'm
Exactly.
not complaining. I'm just saying,
No,
like,
no, just saying.
Yeah.
I just don't want to be. I don't want to
You've
rush
opened
into
up.
it.
You've opened up. You've proved out. You've built the tech. You've invested in tech. You've invested in Thomas and his vision over there. And obviously, people in the industry know him for years for many different things he's done. And
Yeah, sure.
he's getting a lot of people that are, you know, circling around him. It's just exciting to see a company that we started with, and really, more importantly, good people. The first thing I got a call from Ken when he started working with you guys is, Johnny, you just can't believe how much passion the employees have and how much they care about each other. And that, to me, was a statement that Ken made. I'm going to throw him under the bus when he said, "No, I'm going here," right? And that's something that's lacking everywhere. But when a company has that, and I've seen it, it just can't be beat.
Yeah.
So I think you should hire me and Alan and throw us on there as advisors. Alan can at least be Santa Claus for the Christmas party.
Yeah. But Vinny said a very important word. Vinny said a very important word when he was referring to his team, and that's the word tribe, extended family. You know, it's as simple as that. But again,
I say tribe, and I'm a xenophobe.
I
You guys
have people who have been with me. A couple people that have been here with me for 24 years, and a couple have been with me for 17, 18 years. So
amazing.
Yeah, you have that. They trust me, and it's my responsibility to do everything I can to make sure that I didn't steer them in the wrong direction, you know?
Yeah.
And I like responsibility. I was just saying this on my sales call this morning. Ken will tell you, I want it. I have 4 kids, right? I have 160 employees right now. And it's like, I don't mind. It doesn't stress me out. Like, I enjoy being in that position.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great position to be in.
Yeah. You want to make sure that you surround yourself with people that make good decisions.
Exactly.
For the better of everybody.
Yep. And you're
wow, you have 160 people now. I didn't know you have that many. That's huge.
Well, we have a lot of agents. So.
Yeah.
About 100 of them agents. Yeah.
Well, whatever they are, they're agents because they're being successful. They wouldn't be agents if
I'm saying
what you're creating wasn't success, right? So last we talked to Thomas, you weren't near that. So you've grown in the last X amount of months because of success.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
But this, I think, is a great case study in when you think automotive sales. How does AI possibly apply here? And you see very intimately the learning that is successfully being applied that's driving Strolid's success. So again, I think this is a great example of just practical application of AI technology that, let's face it, 2 years ago, it was still a question mark over whether transform model really would deliver something of value. And we've got something very matter of fact, that is delivering value and has so many avenues and opportunities.
no
So I'd just
question.
like to thank Vinnie, Ken, for being part of the Truth in AI in really providing a grounded podcast on the reality of what you can do. It's truly amazing.
Thank you
And
so
the
much.
excitement of the new vertical which is built. It's the Strolid vertical. This is a new age company. It's the convergence of 30 years of experience in an industry and an innovator, a real innovator in Vinnie, who is taking it to a whole nother level.
Exactly.
And Whitney, whether you know it or not, you're a technology company. So you may want to tell you that for yourself. If you want, I know you want to stay humble and you want to stay there, and you probably got a lot of tech people coming and out telling you this. So I'll be one more to tell you. You're a tech company, Vinnie.
Yeah. No, when I said 100, by the way, I just want to clarify. 100, it's about 120 agents, and our goal here is to humanize AI, like use it to help our people, not to replace them. And
Exactly.
that's a very important statement and mission and vision of our company. Is that most call center people, sales agents, salespeople, a lot of times they fumble because they don't know. They don't have the information they need to make it successful. And we're trying to provide that to them so they can do better. Frankly, these calls would be very boring if it was Alan was a robot and I was a robot and we were talking.
Well, those are just companies selling seats. I mean, there's a statistic, I think, talking to my friends from GMS, on 70-something% of the companies they talk to don't even understand how to utilize AI. They don't have an AI strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And you've built your own vContent server. You've integrated these different things. And definitely by far the most impressive thing I've seen through my time here.
And the phrase for me
Summit
from this is, and I'm going to use it as the title, it's Papa in a Box.
Papa in a box.
Very powerful. Again, thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.